These are notes for lesson 29, special lines in triangles, midsegments. To start with, let's draw a triangle and look at exactly what is a midsegment. So we'll start with just draw a basic triangle. And I'm going to go ahead and label the vertices. So we have A, B, and C. And the midsegments when you take you bisect two of the sides and then you link the midpoints together. So if we start, let's go ahead and do bisect sides AB and BC. So we'll start with side AB. The midpoint of AB is going to be right about here. So that's a point that's going to bisect that line segment. So we end up with this part and this part being congruent. So let's go ahead and label that point. We'll call this point D. So we're going to have AD is congruent to BD. Okay, now we'll do the same thing for side BC. So right about here is going to be the midpoint for that side. And we end up with those two parts congruent, and let's label this point E. So we end up with BE congruent to CE. Okay, so when we do that, to make the midsegment, all we have to do is connect D to E like that, and that line is called the midsegment. This is called the midsegment. And midsegments have some really interesting properties. So some of the properties of midsegments, and I'm going to use the same triangle that we just drew and talk about some of the properties. Okay, so the first property is that the midsegment is parallel to the third segment. And what I mean by the third segment, it's a segment that is not been bisected. So it's the one that's not been bisected. So if we go back and look at our triangle, that third segment is going to be AC in our example. So AC in our example. Okay, and then the second property is that the midsegment is half the size of the third segment. So we could say that side DE, our midsegment, is equal to 1/2 of side AC. Okay, and we can use those properties to find out a lot of interesting things about the parts of that triangle. Alright, let's look at example 1. It says find the missing length indicated. So we're looking for side DF, which is this side right here. And we're looking at ST, which is our midsegment. I can tell it's a midsegment because this side ED has been bisected, and then side EF has been bisected, and these are the midpoints. Okay, so I know that the midsegment is half the size of the third segment, so I know that if ST is 7, DF has to be twice that, so it's 14. On number 2, we're looking for the mid-segment. So we have the third side, which is 20. So I know that the mid-segment is half the third side, so HI has to be half of 20, which is 10. Okay, number 3, we're looking for ML. So ML is another mid-segment. It's going to be half the third side. The third side is 20 again. So ML is going to be 10. Okay, pause the video and try 4 and 5 yourself and see what you get. Alright, let's check your answers. So for 4, we're looking for TU. TU is going to be 7. And then on 5, we're looking for VW, which is 5. Did you get the right answers? If you didn't get the right answers, make sure you understand what you did wrong. And okay, let's try the last 2 exercises. So for number 1, it says apply what you know about the properties of midsegments to solve the following exercises. So looking at this, we're looking for what is X and what is the perimeter of triangle ABC. So X is a midsegment. It's going to be half the size of that side BC. So X is going to be 15. So let me go ahead and write that in. It says find the perimeter of the triangle. So I know that perimeter is a distance around something, so we're going to have to put in some missing things on here. So AB was bisected by the midsegment, so you have a 9 up here. That means this part's going to be 9. Same thing with AC, so this is going to be 10. So all we have to do is add all those together and we'll get the perimeter. So we have 2 10s. So 10 plus 10, we have a 30, and then we have 2 9s. Let's see what we get. We're going to get 20, plus 30 is 50, plus 9 is 59, plus another 9 is 68. So we're going to get 68. On number 2, we're looking at angles. So we're going to use that first property of the midsegments for this one, the property where we had the 2 parallel lines. So remember that ED is parallel to this side, or the midsegment right here. So if we think about that, we're going to have some transversals. EF is a transversal and DF is another transversal. So we get 50 here, and that means that X is a corresponding angle to that 50, so it's also going to be 50. And then let's go ahead and write that in, because we're going to have to find this angle to get Y. So let's know we have a little triangle here. They use our properties of triangles, or one of them, which says that the angles have to add up to 180 to get this angle. So 50 and 60 is 110. That means this angle has to be 70. And that also means Y has to be 70 because it's corresponding to that angle. So what we had was, we had 2 pairs of corresponding angles. We had corresponding angles here, and we had corresponding angles here.